Welcome everybody and thank you for being here today. Welcome to the JDC West 2016 tax case presentation. First off, I'd like to thank our judges. We have Kristen Haig from Potash Corp, Ashley Lund from Golden Healthcare Management, Irina Kovrenkov from the University of Regina, Dave Nielsen from Collins Barrow, PQ LLP, and Jill Johnson from Cameco. Competitors will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following the presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters questions. The volunteer timekeeper will show time cards at various intervals to indicate the remaining time, and will stop any speaker who exceeds the maximum time limit. No questions, comments, cell phones, or picture taking will be permitted from the audience at any time. The audience will only be permitted to applaud following the question and answer period. The audience is banned from any material that bears the name or symbol of a competing school, and we ask that the audience exit the room immediately following the question and answer period. So competitors, you may begin when you're ready.
Change. Change is never easy. Change is unpredictable, and change is scary. However, without change, we cannot grow and we cannot prosper. With this in mind, we had the opportunity to meet with your accountant, Monica Lee, and she told us 2 alternatives that you have. 1, to sell the company, or two, to come into the new company and become a new shareholder and expand the company. So with this in mind, my colleague Cashton and myself looked at these 2 alternatives and came up with a 3rd one that we think is going to go outside of the box to help you achieve excellence. So first we're going to go through an analysis, and second we're going to do some problem identification and go through the primary concern of either to expand or to sell CAN Energy. Secondly, we're going to look at some other considerations that you brought to our attention and some financial planning. So jumping into the analysis. Grace, we know you're a single woman and you're working extensive hours, somewhere between 65 to 70 hours a week, which is unbelievable. CAN Energy has 6 consultants and 2 business managers in Calgary and generates revenue of $1.4 million per year. So there's, however, the uncertainty of oil prices in the future, and we know that currently within the market, we are seeing that decline in the price of oil, so this is something that we, as a small corporation, are worried about. Next, there's 2 opportunities that we addressed, the opportunity to expand or the opportunity to become a partner with ECAN. Finally, one of ECAN's goals, the company that we would become a part of, is to enter the Western Canadian market for energy consulting services. So once again, that primary concern is whether to determine if Grace should sell CAN Energy and become a partner with ECAN, or if she should go forward with the expansion of CAN Energy. So some secondary concerns that we'll jump into in the future in the presentation is salary versus dividends, employee stock options, and purity in the lifetime capital gains exemption. I'll now pass it off to Cashton to go over decision criteria.
Great. So I'm going to go over decision criteria, alternatives, and finally the recommendation that we're going to give you guys. First off, we came up with 3 decision criteria. If these 3 decision criteria are met, not only will our primary concern be met, but as well as our secondary concerns. So they are investment maximization, corporate social responsibility, and estate planning. So in order to maximize our investment, we can either sell CAN Energy or become a partner of ECAN. What is going to be the best for us in the future in terms of our financial maximization? Also, retirement planning. You're 45, retirement isn't too far in the future. So currently you're contributing to an RRSP as well as CAN Energy. What are you going to do with it? Sell it or become a partner of a new corporation? What sets you up best for retirement? Corporate social responsibility. You have 8 employees that have been with you for 10 years. It's important to have these people hired, as well as if you were to leave the company, you're going to leave these 8 people without jobs. How is that going to view in the public's eye in terms of leaving these people without jobs, you leaving to Toronto, and then we need to keep these people hired in the future. As well as estate planning. Currently you are pure. We want to keep your corporation pure to capitalize on the capital gains exemption of $800,000. and ensuring your will is in order after the transaction has taken place. So there's three alternatives. Expand Can Energy, which you're the current owner of, bring them, hopefully growing them into the BC region as well as securing some contracts in Alberta. Sell Can Energy and join ECAN. You've been given the proposal to join ECAN at a higher salary as well. So you'd be leaving the company you've started to join this other corporation. And lastly, an estate freeze. When we met with your accountant, she asked us the question, is there any alternatives that I have not considered? And well, Grace, she did not consider one alternative, and that's freezing the company, bringing in a new strategic partner that you can grow with them and have mutual benefit for each corporation in terms of them wanting to come to the West as well as you wanting to expand. So we're going to align these two companies together. First off, alternative number one, expand Can Energy. We're uncertain of the future price of commodities, so expansion can be scary at this time with the falling price per barrel, the falling price of oil in the market right now. Invest in growing can be a little bit scary. Although if we were to expand Can Energy, we are going to retain these 8 employees, so that's going to meet our corporate social responsibility decision criteria because we're going to keep these people employed. Lastly, estate planning. We don't know. The company can be used as part of retirement planning. You can sell it in the future to help you with retirement, as well as you are working 65 to 70 hours a week. So is expansion really a possibility when you're working that long? You don't have any more time to spend expanding the company, so who's going to then do it? Alternative 2, sell Can Energy. There's either 2 ways you can sell it, through assets or through shares. You're going to want to sell the purchasers in favor of selling the assets can pick which assets they want to purchase. Grace, you cannot utilize the capital lifetime gains exemption if you do sell the assets. And it's hard to determine the value of the assets right now at this point because you're in the service industry. Your assets are kind of up in the air. And then selling the shares. You're in favor of selling the shares because you'll clean exit. You'll sell of assets and liabilities. You can utilize the lifetime capital gains exemption again. That's going to be $800,000 tax-free. And employee contracts, company reputation, and customer list transfer to the new owner, and lower purchase price because liability is included. So if you were to sell Can Energy, the recommendation is that you sell the shares of the company. But in terms of overall looking at it, this does not meet the 3 decision criteria. Looking at investment maximization, the price of the company is unknown because you've not secured those 2 large contracts. We don't know the price we're going to get for the company right now until we've secured those 2 contracts. Leaving 8 employees without a job. If we sell a company, we're totally leaving these 8 people now without a job in an uncertain market where we don't know if they'll be able to find a new job. How does this view in the public's eye? And estate planning. You are going to then, if you do sell, you will have money for retirement. The salary you'll be receiving in Toronto is higher, but the potential for upward mobility to become a partner with them. Lastly, alternative 3, performing an estate freeze. This is your current business structure. You own 100% shares of Can Energy. And with our proposed business structure, with an estate freeze, it'll look something like this. So you'll perform an estate freeze, taking out 100% preferred shares for the common shares you currently own. And then as part of the new value of Can Energy, we'll have the shareholders of ECAN have 49% of the future growth, and you'll take 51, so you'll be still a full owner of the company, but we're going to bring them in at a nominal value after we perform that estate freeze. And so they'll own, the new growth of the company will be shared between the 2 of you, as you will be able to secure your retirement fund through those preferred shares. In order to do an estate freeze, there's 3 things that we need to do. We have to have an independent valuation done to have the value of the company secured through another party. We're going to hire a lawyer to review this valuation and the legal paperwork going into doing an estate freeze. And lastly, through CRA, we're going to notify CRA through a price adjustment clause and have the estate freeze done. So again, alternative 3 meets the 3 decision criteria that we have in place. We're going to retain ownership of Can Energy. Through these estate freeze, we'll have created a new retirement plan through preferred shares. We can redeem those at any time and be able to take out that through the preferred shares and take that out in retirement. We're going to maintain our 8 employees. These 8 employees are going to be able to stay working within the company, and hopefully through growth we'll actually hire more employees and align ourselves with major competitors. Right now they're competing with us on 1 to 2 contracts a year. We're going to align with them. They want to come to the West. We're already in the West operating. So we're going to survive the recession. We don't know where the price of oil will be in the future. They have a lot more, they're a much larger corporation than us in terms of money and workers. So we're going to be able to align with them and use their power to survive this recession and grow with their expertise, and the West will be ours because we'll be one together. So we're going to maintain ownership of the business. We'll have 51% of the shares. We're going to partner with ECAN, a company with more resources, so we can survive. We don't know the price of oil in the future. We're going to, and then through their resources, we'll also be able to expand easier into British Columbia. You think it's going to cost around $250,000 in order to do that expansion into BC? We don't have any of that capital with only $5,000 net income at the end of the year. So we need their resources in order to even think about doing this expansion. Also, preferred shares are now going to be a liability and can be redeemed for retirement. So this is helping you save up for retirement. And we can still maintain ownership after retirement. We can still have shares within the corporation after retirement, take out dividends as you see fit through retirement and not having to work. Next I'll pass on to Siobhan.
So now we're going to go over those secondary concerns. So we're going to first go over salaries versus dividends. Secondly, we're going to look at employee stock options. Third, we're going to address purity and the lifetime capital gains exemption. So currently, Grace, you're paying yourself a salary, and we think that you also want to consider dividends. So we're just going to outline some of the differences between salaries and dividends. So starting with the salary, it's going to generate that RRSP room which you're currently investing in, but there is additional costs including CPP, EI, etc. And a salary must be reasonable. Also, a salary is deductible to your corporation, so there is that small business deduction of $500,000. And if you're above that, you want to make sure that you're below that. So a salary is going to allow you to get below that $500,000, whereas a dividend would not. Finally, there is that maximum contribution that you can contribute to your RRSPs every year. So with a dividend, the biggest advantage is that lower effective tax rate, and it's paid after tax dollars of the corporation. Another big difference between salaries and dividends is it is discretionary. We're able to pay differing amounts to differing classes of shares. And however, dividends do not create RRSP room, which is something that you're interested in. And in the future, dividends also allow for income splitting by bringing your spouse into the corporation. So our recommendation is that you do continue paying a salary. However, we want to have a combination of dividends and salaries because we do want to continue generating that RRSP room. However, we also want to take advantage of that lower tax rate. So another thing that we noticed that you didn't consider, but we noticed that your employees, you're loyal to them and they're loyal to you, and that this is super important to you, especially when it is a small business and with that change and expanding with the new company. So we thought that a good option for you is to consider employee stock options to give them some motivation and incentive to want to join the company. So this is a win-win for you and the company, as it's a form of compensation. However, you're not actually paying out cash. Their compensation is determined by the growth in the company. So therefore, if the company does well, their shares are going to be worth more, your shares are going to be worth more. It's a win-win. However, there is some disadvantages as you are giving up ownership, and some of those just include dilution of control. Another one is if an employee leaves, you will have to buy them out. So what we recommend is that currently, with the current structure we proposed, you have 50% ownership. I know that you don't want to get rid of much of this ownership, so we suggest that you give about 1% to each employee. So this is still giving you a large portion of ownership. Your loyal employees are also contributing to that ownership, and it's a great alternative to just incentivize and motivate those employees. Finally, purity. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. A tragedy could strike, we don't know, and we want to make sure that we at all times are pure so that we can take advantage of this lifetime capital gains exemption. And in order to be pure, there's 3 criteria that must be met. First, on the day of sale, so when you pass away, the day you pass away, all of your assets are deemed to be disposed. So if this does happen on that day of sale, we want to have 90% of our assets to be active assets. 50% of our assets 2 years prior have to be active assets. So active assets just means that they're income generating assets. Finally, our shareholders have to be Canadian residents, and they have to own the CCPC shares 24 months consecutive to that sale. So why is this important? It's important because the lifetime capital gains exemption is a really big advantage if you can take advantage of it. So it allows each Canadian to have up to $800,000 to deduct in capital gains. So the future is unpredictable, as we said, and we just want to ensure that we're able to remain pure. Finally, an option before the estate freeze is to create a holding company. So the holding company would just allow you to put your non-active assets in there, and it'll protect you against creditors. It'll also protect you against when you do bring these new owners and shareholders into the company. It's going to protect your assets and remain in your hands. And once again, it's going to help you maintain that purity. So we're going to run through our implementation. So first what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to discuss with ECAM the purchase of Can Energy. So we want to make sure that they're on board and that we have their support and that this is something they want to go through with. Next, that's going to happen within a week. So also within that week, we're going to go through evaluation. We're going to hire a lawyer just to go through the due diligence and make sure that we're following the proper protocol going forward with the sale. And we're also, just to maintain ethics and be ethical and move forward with this, we're going to have a price adjustment clause. Hopefully within a month, we're going to be performing that estate freeze. So a big part of this is we want to lock those two big contracts in. Right now there's a 50% chance of gaining either one, and we want to make sure that we're gaining those contracts so we have a good valuation of our company. Finally, we're going to talk to our employees. We want to incentivize them and motivate them, so we want to make sure that they're on board and we want them buying into that company when we do that estate freeze and it's at a nominal value. Finally, we're going to expand into British Columbia, and this is going to be with the help of ECAN, and that's going to happen within 1 year, hopefully. So I'll now pass it off to Cash to go through risk mitigation.
Awesome. So with any great plan, there's always risks that follow that plan. Biggest concern right now is falling oil prices. We don't know the price of oil going into the future. Right now, oil is at kind of an all-time low. We don't know the certainty of the industry going forward. So what if the price of oil continues to fall? Small companies tend to not survive these recessions, and right now with only having 8 employees in yourself, so 9 total, you are a small company, so we don't know if you'll be able to survive this recession without aligning yourself with a larger corporation. They have a lot more capital, they have a lot more workers, they have a lot more people involved that can survive these hard times, so we need to partner with them so they can help us also survive, and in turn they'll survive with us. Also, what if ECAN doesn't want to align with us or become partners with us? Because we're already operating successfully for 10 years in Western Canada, they want to come into Western Canada. They've already reached out to you, Grace, and want to be strategic partners with you, so why wouldn't they want to align with you? Because we're already situated here, we already have the employees in place, it makes perfect sense for them to want to come here because of all the structure that's already in place. So it's a low risk opportunity for them as well because they are going to be buying in at that nominal value. It's a very low investment for them, as well as you'll be able to see greater growth into the future because we'll be able to use their resources, and you'll still have the ownership, full ownership on the growth. It's a win-win for both parties because they want to come to the West. Them coming to the West is inevitable, and so we want to just make sure we're with them so when they do come into the West, they don't just take us over and we're with them. Some additional tax information that we considered are our TFSAs. Right now you have GICs, Guaranteed Investment Certificates. We want to transfer those into the tax-free savings account. This is something offered by our government that's amazing that we want to take advantage of. GICs are low risk with a low return, so we transfer those into the TFSAs. We're going to be able to see greater growth in those investments going forward. As well as your home office. You're working 65 to 70 hours a week. Unless you're putting in all those hours at the office, we think if you're working at home, you'll be able to utilize the home office. You'll be able to deduct percentage of what you're working at home. So percentage of your home dedicated to the office is a tax deduction to your corporation. So if you are working at home at all, you'll be able to use the square footage of what you're working at home to bring down your tax bill. So you can deduct things such as supplies, maintenance, electricity, telephone. Because you're working so many hours, if you're working at home at all, it's great to take advantage of the home office deduction. As well as health insurance benefits. This is something that was offered to you by the company if you would have went to Toronto. We didn't see on any of your incomes that you were contributing to this. You can offer yourself health insurance benefits of $6,000. On the provided inflow, so Can Energy is a corporation which allows you the opportunity to create a health and insurance plan for you and your employees. You can deduct this. This is something that you can use through the corporation so that you're not missing out on that if you would have gone to Toronto. Lastly, amalgamation. This is something we also considered, but due to the uncertainty of the value of ECAN along with the value of your current company, amalgamation didn't make a lot of sense with your small corporation. We didn't know how much percentage you would have taken of the large corporation. So amalgamation didn't really make a lot of sense compared to the compared to the estate freeze.
Change is exciting. And with this alternative, we think that you are going to achieve excellence and go forward and meet our 3 decision criteria of investment maximization, corporate social responsibility, and estate planning. So we're going to go through with that estate freeze because we think it's the best alternative, and we're excited to work with you and build connections in the future. We now open the floor to questions.
Why is estate freeze? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like, why wouldn't I just go and ask them to pay for 49% of the company? I get my cash, my jeans, please.
With an estate freeze, it allows us to freeze the value in the company now. So that's just another alternative for retirement planning, and it's going to ensure that you maintain that value in the company. Whereas if we just allowed them to buy in, they're going to get to buy into the whole value of the company, and we want to protect what we've already built up in the last 10 years.
But they can also, as they buy in, they can also deteriorate. Obviously, Dan, I see what you're saying. But the cash today, isn't that more important to me?
The most important thing is growing the company. So when we perform that estate freeze, we're going to get that value right now, as well as we're going to bring in the strategic partner to grow. We need their capital in order to grow into BC, period, and survive the recession. So the most important, really the cash right now isn't that important because we're going to bring them as a strategic partner, be able to utilize their capital, all their money anyway, as well as cash right now could be through the employee stock option, having them buy in at $10,000 for 1%. That'll be cashed in right now through the stock employee option.
That'll be cash to me in my jeans today?
Within the corporation.
And what are, like you mentioned, the preferred shares are going to be part of my retirement plan. So what do the tax consequences look like when I redeem those shares further down the road?
With preferred shares, they work as a dividend, so you're going to be able to take them out as your own discretion, and it's just a fixed amount that's going to come out of the company. So it's just going to be, you're going to receive a tax credit and a tax dividend. It's going to be taxed similar to dividends.
Can I use the capital gains exemption on that?
With preferred shares, you can use the capital gains exemption. It is up to $800,000.
So I see in your original setup how ECAN would only own 49%, and therefore I would not have a control issue. But if I look at getting into employee stock options, there may be now a control issue. And essentially what I'm wondering is, what are some of the ideas that you have to mitigate that risk?
Right, so we originally came up with the 51-49 percentage, so you would maintain ownership. The stock option, employee stock option plan doesn't have to be utilized. It is an option towards you. When we do discuss the partnership with ECAN, it could even end up being 60-40 percentage. The terms and percentages will differ based on the meetings going forward, but right now we did suggest for you to maintain 51%. If you wanted to have then 59% and give up 8% to your employees, then you would still have 51%, but that'll be meetings going forward and how much you want to give up.
Could you please clarify again why partnering up with, or so why for ECAN is it feasible to partner up with Ken Energy? So you did mention that it is low cost, or they would be doing it at a nominal value. Could you clarify how that is the case given that the economy is so volatile?
So a big part of this is they already want to work with you, Grace, and also they want to work with you and they want you to bring you in, but they also want to expand to where we are. So we think that this is a really attractive option for them because it's a low risk because we're letting them invest in nominal value, and they're also still getting to work with you, and it's still, you're going to be happy and you're going to be in a better state of mind because you're still maintaining that control of your company.
Yeah, why do you think I can't get a bank loan? Like $260,000 isn't a lot of money. I know that, for instance, Business Development Bank will do high-risk lending. Or what about the idea of maybe having my employees scrape up some money and buy in if I need $260,000? Did you consider that at all?
Well, $260,000 is due to, that's what you outlined for expansion, so I guess if you did want to like it that route for expansion, you could. The most important thing is we want to align with this company because they're going to be coming into the West anyway, so we would rather align with them now before they come here and potentially take us over. The most important part is having a critical relationship with them, using their money, that they'll now be part of it together. Rather, you could use a stock employee option, but we don't know how much money your employees really want to invest in it. We don't know how much money they have on hand. As well as the bank loan, you're 45 years old. We don't know if you want to take on that much debt this close to retirement, potential retirement.
And that's all the time we have